Captain Jake Miller stood at the window of his ship and stared at the biggest space station he had ever seen. Nexus Prime looked like a small city floating in space. Lights twinkled from thousands of windows. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved in and out of the docking bays like busy bees. "First time seeing the Galactic Council station?" asked Dr. Lisa Park as she walked up beside him. She was the ship's scientist who studied alien life forms. "Yeah," Jake said. "It's bigger than I thought it would be." Jake was the captain of the UES Horizon, Earth's first ship to visit the Galactic Council. His job was to make friends with alien races and try to get humanity accepted into the Council. It was a big responsibility for a 35-year-old man from Texas. "Captain, we're getting permission to dock," said Commander Sam Rodriguez from the bridge. Sam was in charge of keeping everyone safe on the ship. "Good. Let's go meet our new neighbors," Jake said. The docking process took 2 hours. Jake had never docked with an alien station before. Everything was different. The docking clamps were shaped weird. The air they pumped into the ship smelled strange. Even the gravity felt a little off. When they finally walked onto the station, Jake felt like he was in a dream. The main hallway was huge. The ceiling was so high that Jake had to crane his neck to see it. Aliens of all kinds walked past them. Some looked almost human. Others looked like nothing Jake had ever imagined. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms greeted them. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," she said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Cathala. I will show you to your quarters." As they walked through the station, Jake tried not to stare at the other beings. There were creatures that looked like walking trees. Others had skin that seemed to be made of metal. Some floated in the air without any visible means of support. "How many different species live here?" asked Katie Bell, the ship's engineer. "Currently, there are representatives from 47 different worlds," Ambassador Cathala replied. "The Council has been growing for over 2,000 years. They passed through a large common area where many aliens sat at tables eating and talking. The noise was incredible. Jake heard clicking sounds, musical tones, and languages that sounded like nothing on Earth. That's when he saw her. In the far corner of the room sat a lone figure. She was humanoid in shape, but her skin looked like it was made of clear crystal. Colors swirled beneath the surface of her skin like oil on water. Right now, those colors were dark purple and gray. She sat completely alone at a table meant for 6 people. Other aliens walked past her table, but none looked at her. It was like she wasn't even there. "Who is that?" Jake asked, pointing toward the crystal-skinned being. Ambassador Cathala followed his gaze and her expression changed. "That is no one you need to concern yourself with, Captain Miller. Come, let me show you the diplomatic quarters." But Jake couldn't stop looking at the lonely figure. Something about her isolation bothered him. "What species is she?" "Velnari," Ambassador Cathala said quickly. "But she is troubled. Her people have cast her out. It would be best if you did not interact with her." "Cast out? Why?" "Please, Captain. The Velnari are a proud telepathic race. When one of them is exiled, there are always good reasons. Now if you would follow me." Jake nodded but made a mental note to ask more questions later. They spent the next few hours getting settled in their quarters and meeting with various council representatives. Everyone was polite, but Jake could sense they were all sizing up humanity, trying to decide if Earth's people were worthy of joining their group. That evening, Jake decided to explore the station on his own. He found himself back in the common area where he had seen the crystal-skinned alien. She was still there, still alone. Her skin colors had changed to darker shades of blue and purple. Jake walked over to the food dispensers and got himself a sandwich and a cup of coffee. Then, instead of finding an empty table, he walked straight to where the Velnari sat. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked. The alien looked up at him with large silver eyes. Her skin immediately flashed bright red, then settled into deep purple. She didn't say anything, but she didn't tell him to leave either. Jake sat down across from her and unwrapped his sandwich. "I'm Jake Miller," he said, "captain of the human ship." The Velnari stared at him like he was speaking a foreign language. Her skin kept changing colors, cycling through purples and blues. "I know you probably understand English," Jake continued. "The ambassador said your people are telepathic." The alien's skin suddenly went completely white. Jake worried he had said something wrong. Then, without warning, a voice spoke inside his head. It was soft and female, but filled with surprise. "Why are you sitting with me?" Jake almost jumped out of his chair. He had been told that some aliens were telepathic, but experiencing it was completely different. "Because you looked lonely," he said out loud. The Velnari's skin went through a rapid series of color changes. You should not be here. The others will think poorly of your species if they see you with me. Why? Jake asked, taking a bite of his sandwich. Because I am broken, the voice in his head replied. I am Zira. I am the outcast. The mind touched. Even my own people will not speak my name. Jake looked at her carefully. She seemed sad but not dangerous. What did you do to become an outcast? Zira's skin went dark again. I was born wrong. My mind works differently than other Velnari. They fear me. Well, I'm not Velnari, Jake said, and I don't scare easily. He pulled his sandwich apart and pushed half of it across the table to her. Want some? It's peanut butter and jelly. Nothing fancy, but it's from Earth. Zira stared at the sandwich like it was an alien artifact. You would share your food with me? Why not? Everyone needs to eat. For the first time since Jake had seen her, Zira's skin showed a different color. A faint golden glow appeared beneath the surface like sunlight through water. I have not spoken to another being in 3 cycles, she said in his mind. The others pretend I do not exist. That must be very lonely, Jake said. It is. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Jake finished his half of the sandwich while Zira carefully examined her portion. Finally, she took a small bite. It is strange, she said, but not unpleasant. First time trying Earth food? First time anyone has offered me anything, Zira replied. Jake felt a pang of sadness for her. He couldn't imagine being completely alone like that. Well, if you want, I'll be here tomorrow evening too. Maybe we can talk more. Zira's skin flashed gold again, brighter this time. You would return? Sure. Everyone deserves to have someone to talk to. As Jake stood up to leave, Zira spoke in his mind one more time. Why do you show kindness to a stranger? Especially one that your own kind have been warned against? Jake thought about it for a moment. Because that's what humans do. We help people who need help. It doesn't matter if they're human or not. He walked away, leaving Zira sitting at the table with the half-eaten sandwich in front of her. Her crystalline skin was glowing soft gold, the first warm color she had shown in years. Behind him, Jake didn't see the other aliens in the common area watching with interest and concern. He had just done something that none of them had ever considered doing. He had shown kindness to the outcast. The next morning, Jake woke up to find Commander Sam Rodriguez waiting outside his quarters with a serious expression on his face. We need to talk, Captain, Sam said as Jake opened the door. What's wrong? Jake asked, still putting on his uniform jacket. Word has gotten around about your little dinner last night. Some of the alien representatives are concerned. Jake sighed. He had expected this. Concerned about what exactly? About humans associating with undesirable elements, Sam said. The Centauri ambassador sent a formal message this morning. He strongly advised against any further contact with the Velnari exile. Her name is Zira, Jake said firmly. Whatever her name is, she's bad news according to everyone on this station. The hegemony representative was even more direct. He said that befriending outcasts shows poor judgment that could affect our council application. Jake finished putting on his jacket and looked at Sam. Since when do we let aliens tell us who we can and can't talk to? Since we need their votes to join the council, Sam replied. Captain, I know you want to help her, but we have to think about the bigger picture. Humanity's future depends on getting accepted here. Jake knew Sam was right about the politics, but something about the situation bothered him. Have you actually talked to anyone about why she was exiled? Does it matter? If her own people don't want her around, there must be a good reason. Maybe, or maybe not. Jake walked past Sam toward the bridge. I'm going to find out. Later that day, Jake found Dr. Lisa Park in the station's science laboratory. She was studying samples of various alien technologies with permission from the council. Lisa, I need you to find out everything you can about the Velnari, Jake said. Lisa looked up from her microscope. Any particular reason? I met one yesterday. An exile named Zira. I want to know what she did to get thrown out of her society. Jake, you know what Sam and the others are saying, right? They think you're making a mistake. That's why I need facts instead of rumors, Jake replied. Can you help me or not? Lisa nodded. I'll see what I can dig up in the council database. That evening, Jake returned to the common area as promised. Zira was sitting at the same table, but this time her skin showed lighter colors when she saw him approaching. You came back, her voice said in his mind. I said I would. Jake replied, sitting down with another sandwich and coffee. Many beings say things they do not mean. Not me. Jake unwrapped his food. I brought extra again if you want some. Zira's skin showed that faint golden glow again. Thank you. As they shared the meal, Jake decided to ask the question that had been bothering him all day. Zira, why were you really exiled from your people? Her skin immediately went dark purple. You do not wish to know. Yes, I do. Everyone on this station acts like you're dangerous, but you seem perfectly fine to me. Zira was quiet for a long time. Jake could see colors swirling under her crystal skin like a storm. Finally, she spoke in his mind again. My people are telepaths, as you know. We can read surface thoughts and emotions from most other species. It is a useful ability for diplomacy and trade. Sounds handy, Jake said. Yes, but I was born with something different. Something more. Zira's skin went completely white again. I can see deeper than thoughts. I can see the truth that lies beneath what beings think they think. Jake frowned. I don't understand. Most beings lie to themselves as much as they lie to others. They believe they are good when they are not. They think they are honest when they deceive. But I can see past those lies. I can see what they really are in their deepest hearts. And that scared your people? Terrified them, Zira confirmed. They realized I could see all their hidden shames, their secret cruelties, their buried guilt. So they declared me mentally ill and cast me out. Jake thought about this. That seems like a useful ability to have around. Zira's skin flashed with surprise. Useful, it is a curse. No one wants to be seen for what they truly are. Maybe that's exactly what some people need, Jake said. Before Zira could respond, they were interrupted by a commotion across the room. A group of aliens was having what looked like a heated discussion. Jake recognized the hegemony representative, a large insect-like creature called Thexcool. The humans show poor judgment in their associates, Thexcool was saying loudly enough for everyone to hear. Perhaps they are not ready for council membership after all. Jake felt his anger rising, but before he could respond, Zira grabbed his arm. Her touch was cold but not unpleasant. Do not, she said in his mind. He wants you to react badly. How do you know? Because I can see what he truly thinks. He fears your species for reasons he will not admit even to himself. Jake looked at the insect alien more carefully. What do you see when you look at him? Zira's skin went through several color changes before settling on a dark red that Jake had not seen before. Deception. Layers upon layers of lies. And underneath it all, terror. Terror of what? Of you, of humans. He sees something in your species that threatens everything he has built. Jake wanted to ask more questions, but Dr. Lisa Park appeared at their table. She looked nervous. Jake, I need to talk to you privately, she said, glancing at Zira. Whatever you have to say, you can say it here, Jake replied. Lisa hesitated, then sat down. I researched the Velnari exile protocols. Zira wasn't cast out for being mentally ill. What was she cast out for? Jake asked. For refusing to use her abilities to help the Velnari government spy on other council members. Apparently she could detect lies and hidden motives so well that her own people wanted to use her as a living lie detector in council meetings. Jake looked at Zira, whose skin was now showing rapid color changes. Is that true? Yes, Zira said in his mind. They wanted me to violate the deepest thoughts of every species we encountered. When I refused, they said I was defective and dangerous. So you were exiled for having ethics, Jake said. Ethics? Zira's skin showed confusion. Swirls of blue and green. For doing what was right instead of what was easy. Dr. Park leaned forward. There's more, Jake. I found records of several other species that have applied for council membership over the past century. Most of them were rejected or, she paused, or they suffered mysterious accidents during the application process. What kind of accidents? Jake asked. Ship malfunctions, diplomatic incidents, sometimes entire first contact teams just disappearing. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. And you think this wasn't really accidents? I think someone has been sabotaging new species to keep them out of the council. Before Jake could respond, Zira suddenly went rigid. Her skin began flashing through colors so fast it was almost blinding. Other aliens in the common area stopped their conversations and stared. Zira, what's wrong? Jake asked. Her voice in his mind was strained and frightened. The hegemony representative. I just scanned him without meaning to. Jake, your species is in terrible danger. What did you see? Plans. Detailed plans to sabotage your application. But worse than that, Zira's skin went completely black, a color Jake had never seen from her before. Your people are not the first. He has done this before. Many times. To many species. Dr. Park grabbed Jake's arm. We need to get back to the ship now. Wait, Jake said. Zira, what else did you see? Murder, she whispered in his mind. So much murder. Entire civilizations that never got the chance you have now, and he is planning the same fate for Earth. Jake stood up quickly. Can you prove what you saw? My word means nothing. I am an exile, a broken mind. No one will believe me. I believe you, Jake said firmly. For the first time since he had met her, Zira's skin showed pure, bright gold. It was beautiful and sad at the same time. Then you may be the first being to save his people by showing kindness to a stranger, she said. As Jake and Dr. Park hurried back toward their ship, Jake's mind was racing. If Zira was right, then humanity was walking into a trap. But how could they prove it? And more importantly, how could they stop it? Behind them, Zira sat alone again, her skin now showing the deep blue of determination. She had found something she had not had in 3 years. She had found someone worth fighting for. Jake barely slept that night. He kept thinking about what Zira had told him about the hegemony representative. If she was right, then humanity was in serious danger. But how could he prove that an alien was planning to sabotage Earth's application to join the Galactic Council? The next morning brought bad news. Engineer Katie Bell came to Jake's quarters with a worried expression. Captain, we have a problem, she said. Someone has been messing with our ship's systems. What kind of messing? Jake asked, immediately alert. Small things that could cause big problems later. Loose connections in the navigation system. Stress fractures in the hull plating that look like normal wear but aren't. If I hadn't been doing routine maintenance, I never would have found them. Could these cause the ship to fail? Oh yeah. If we tried to jump to hyperspace with these problems, we'd probably end up scattered across several solar systems. Jake felt his stomach drop. How long would it take to fix everything? Days, maybe weeks. And that's if nothing else goes wrong. Katie paused. Captain, this wasn't an accident. Someone who knows our technology did this on purpose. Jake knew he needed to talk to Zira again, but first he had to deal with his own crew. Commander Sam Rodriguez was not happy when Jake explained what they had discovered. This proves it, Sam said. We never should have associated with that exile. Now someone is trying to kill us. Sam, the sabotage could have happened whether I talked to Zira or not, Jake replied. But it didn't start until after you befriended her, Sam pointed out. Maybe this is exactly what they wanted to happen. Maybe she's working with them. Dr. Lisa Park shook her head. I don't think so. I've been studying Velnari psychology. Their telepathic abilities make it almost impossible for them to lie effectively. When they try to deceive, it shows in their skin color patterns. Almost impossible isn't the same as impossible, Sam argued. Jake held up his hand to stop the argument. There's only one way to know for sure. I need to talk to Zira again. Captain, that's exactly what they want you to do, Sam said. You're playing right into their hands. Maybe. But if Zira is telling the truth, then we need her help to survive this. That evening, Jake went back to the common area. This time he noticed something different. There were fewer aliens around, and the ones who were there kept glancing at him and whispering among themselves. Zira was at her usual table, but her skin was showing colors Jake had never seen before, deep reds mixed with flashes of silver. You are in danger, her voice said in his mind as soon as he sat down. I know. Someone sabotaged our ship. It is worse than that. Today, 3 different species filed formal complaints about your presence here. The hegemony is convincing others that humans are dangerous. Jake felt frustrated. What can we do? We can't prove anything. Zira's skin shifted to show swirls of gold and blue. There might be a way, but it would be very dangerous for both of us. Tell me. I could scan your mind completely, not just surface thoughts, but everything deep inside. If your species is truly as different as I suspect, it might prove that the hegemony's fears are real. Jake frowned. I don't understand. How would that help us? Because if I can show the Council what I see in human minds, they will understand why the hegemony wants to destroy you. And what do you think you'll see? Zira's skin went through several color changes before settling on a soft gold. Something that terrifies every other species in the galaxy. Jake thought about this. Will it hurt? I do not know. No Velnari has ever attempted a complete scan of a human mind. Your brains are structured differently than any species we have encountered. Different how? Most species develop mental barriers as they evolve. Walls to protect their thoughts from telepaths. Shields to hide their true selves from others. But from what little I have sensed from you, Zira paused. Humans seem to have no barriers at all. Jake considered this. Is that bad? It should be impossible. A species with no mental defenses should never survive contact with telepaths. You should be slaves or food by now. But we're not. No. Which means there is something about humanity that we do not understand. Jake made his decision. Okay, let's do it. Zira's skin flashed bright white with surprise. You would trust me with complete access to your mind? If it helps save my people, yes. Jake Miller, Zira said in his mind, and for the first time her mental voice sounded almost human. You are either the bravest being I have ever met, or the most foolish. Probably both, Jake replied with a smile. Zira stood up from the table. We cannot do this here. Too many others might sense what is happening. There is a quiet place, I know. She led him through several corridors to a small observation deck that overlooked the stars. The area was empty except for a few plants that Jake didn't recognize. Sit here, Zira said, indicating a bench facing the large window. She sat beside him, close enough that he could see the colors swirling beneath her crystal skin. What do I need to do? Jake asked. Nothing. Just relax and do not try to resist what you feel. Zira placed one hand on Jake's forehead. Her touch was cool and sent a tingling sensation through his skull. Beginning scan, she said out loud. At first, Jake felt nothing unusual. Then slowly, he became aware of another presence in his mind. It felt like someone walking through his memories, but not in an invasive way. More like a friend looking through old photo albums. Zira's breathing became faster. Her skin began showing rapid color changes. Blues, greens, golds, and colors Jake had no names for. Then suddenly she gasped and pulled her hand away. Impossible, she whispered out loud. Jake felt dizzy and strange. What did you see? Zira's skin was now blazing with pure golden light, brighter than he had ever seen it. She stared at him with her silver eyes wide with wonder. You have no walls, she said in amazement. No barriers, no hidden chambers, no locked doors. Your mind is completely open. Is that bad? It should be fatal. Every species builds mental defenses to protect themselves. But she shook her head. You do not need defenses because you have something else. Something we have never encountered before. What? Truth, pure absolute emotional truth. When I touched your mind, I could not find a single deception. Not one lie you tell yourself. Not one false belief. Not one hidden shame. You simply are what you are with no pretense, Jake frowned. That doesn't sound right. Everyone lies sometimes, about facts, yes. About actions, yes. But not about who you are inside. Your species, you cannot hide your essential nature even from yourselves. Zira stood up and began pacing. Her skin was still glowing gold. This is why the hegemony fears you, she continued. They have built their power on lies and manipulation. But if humans join the council, their telepathic members will sense the truth in your thoughts. All their deceptions will be exposed. So what do we do with this information? Zira stopped pacing and looked at him. We show the council what I just experienced. We prove that humans are not dangerous. You are dangerous to those who live by lies. Will they believe you? They will have to. What I experienced was too powerful to fake. But Jake... Zira's skin suddenly showed streaks of red. Doing this will probably kill me. What do you mean? To project what I saw to the entire council, I would have to open my mind completely. Share every thought, every sensation, every emotion. No Valnari has ever attempted such a thing. Jake felt his heart sink. There has to be another way. There is not. And even if there was, I would still choose this path. Why? Zira sat back down beside him. Her skin showed the warm gold color again. Because in 3 years of exile, you are the first being to show me kindness. Because your species represents something pure in a galaxy full of corruption. And because, she paused, because I have seen your future, my future. In your mind, I saw not just what you are, but what you will become. Humans will not just join the council, Jake, you will transform it. You will teach the galaxy something it has forgotten. What's that? How to be good without expecting a reward. How to help without counting the cost. How to love without fear. Jake felt overwhelmed by what she was telling him. Zira, I can't ask you to die for us. You are not asking. I am choosing. Her skin pulsed with gentle gold light. It is the first free choice I have made since my exile, and it feels right. As they sat there looking out at the stars, Jake realized that everything was about to change. Tomorrow they would try to save humanity by exposing the truth, and a lonely alien who had been cast out by her own people would risk everything to help a species she barely knew. "Thank you," Jake said quietly. "No," Zira replied in his mind. "Thank you. You reminded me that even outcasts can matter, that even broken things can still do something beautiful." In the distance, other ships moved between the stars like lights in the darkness. Neither Jake nor Zira knew if they would live to see another sunset, but they both knew they were about to do something that would change the galaxy forever. The next morning came too quickly. Jake woke up knowing that today would either save humanity or destroy any chance they had of joining the Galactic Council. He found his crew waiting for him in the ship's main conference room. "Captain, we need to talk about what you're planning," Commander Sam Rodriguez said as soon as Jake walked in. "Sam's right," added Dr. Lisa Park. "What you and Zira want to do is incredibly dangerous, not just for her but for all of us." Engineer Katie Bell nodded in agreement. "If this goes wrong, we'll be lucky if they just kick us out of the station. They might decide humans are too dangerous to let live." Jake sat down and looked at his crew. These were good people who trusted him to make the right decisions. "I know the risks, but if we don't do this, Zira believes the hegemony will destroy Earth just like they've destroyed other worlds." "But we only have her word for that," Sam pointed out. "We're betting everything on the testimony of an alien exile who might be crazy." "She's not crazy," Jake said firmly. "I've been in her mind, Sam. I felt what she experiences. Her abilities are real." Dr. Park leaned forward. "Jake, even if everything Zira told us is true, there's no guarantee the Council will believe her. Velnari telepathy is well known, but what she claims to do is beyond anything her species has shown before." "Which is exactly why it might work," Jake replied. "If she can project what she saw in my mind to the entire Council, they'll experience the same thing she did. They'll feel the truth of it." Katie shook her head. "And if she dies in the process? Then we're right back where we started, except now we look like the aliens who got one of their outcasts killed." Jake had been thinking about this all night. Zira is going to die anyway. The room went quiet. "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "I mean, she's been slowly dying since her exile began. The Velnari are social telepaths. Being cut off from her people is killing her mentally and physically. She's already held on longer than most of her kind could." Sam crossed his arms. "So she's suicidal? That makes her even less reliable as a witness." "No, Sam, she's not suicidal. She's choosing to make her death mean something." Jake stood up and walked to the window that showed the vast space station outside. "How many humans would do the same thing to save their species?" "That's different," Sam said. "We're talking about our own people, are we? Think about it. Zira barely knows us. She has no reason to help humanity except that it's the right thing to do." Jake turned back to face his crew. "Maybe that's what makes us special. Maybe that's what the hegemony really fears." Dr. Park was quiet for a moment, then spoke. "If we're going to do this, we need to be smart about it. The Council meets in formal session tomorrow. That's when humanity's application will be officially reviewed." "Can Zira address the Council?" Katie asked. "Not normally," Lisa replied. "Exiles are forbidden from speaking in Council sessions. But I found something interesting in my research last night." She activated the room's display screen and showed them an ancient Velnari legal document. "It's called the Right of Truth Speaking," Lisa explained. "Any Velnari can invoke it in matters of galactic security, regardless of their status. It hasn't been used in over 400 years, but it's still valid law." Jake felt a spark of hope. Would that allow Zira to address the Council? Yes, but she would have to prove that what she's saying affects the security of the entire galaxy, not just one species. The systematic destruction of emerging civilization sounds like a galactic security issue to me, Jake said. Sam finally spoke up again. "Captain, I still think this is a mistake. But if you're determined to go through with it, you have my support." Katie and Lisa nodded their agreement. "Thank you," Jake said. "All of you." That afternoon, Jake met with Zira in the observation deck where they had been the night before. Her skin was showing new colors, deep purples mixed with silver and gold. "Are you ready for this?" Jake asked. "I am frightened," she admitted. "But yes, I am ready." "What exactly will happen during the council session?" Zira sat down on the bench and stared out at the stars. I will invoke the right of truth-speaking. The council will be forced to listen, but they will be skeptical. Then I will open my mind completely and project what I experienced when I scanned you. Will everyone in the chamber feel it? Everyone with telepathic abilities, yes. That includes most of the major species. The non-telepaths will see the emotional reactions of the telepaths and understand that something significant is happening. Jake joined her on the bench. And you're sure this will kill you? Almost certainly. A Velnari mind is not designed to open completely to multiple recipients. The psychic feedback will probably stop my heart. They sat in silence for a while, watching ships move between the stars. Zira, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you have any family? Anyone who will miss you? Zira's skin went through several color changes before settling on a sad blue. I had a sister once. She was the one who reported my abilities to the authorities. I'm sorry. Do not be. She was frightened, and fear makes beings do terrible things. I have learned to forgive her. Jake thought about his own sister back on Earth. He couldn't imagine her ever betraying him. But then again, humans weren't telepaths living in a society that valued conformity above all else. What about you? Zira asked. Who will miss Captain Jake Miller if this goes wrong? My parents. My sister Carol, some friends back home. Jake smiled. A woman named Amy Peterson who I've been trying to work up the courage to ask out for about 2 years. Why have you not asked her? Fear, I guess. Fear of rejection. Zira's skin showed a gentle gold color. Fear, always fear. It rules so many lives across the galaxy. But not yours. Not anymore, no, not anymore. Tomorrow I will do something that has never been done before. I will show the galaxy what courage looks like when it comes from love instead of fear. That evening, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Zira's words and about what would happen the next day. He also thought about Amy Peterson back on Earth and promised himself that if he survived this, he would ask her out immediately. Around midnight, there was a soft knock on his door. When Jake opened it, he found Dr. Lisa Park standing in the hallway. I couldn't sleep either, she said. I keep thinking about what Zira is going to do tomorrow. Second thoughts? Jake asked. No, actually, I'm amazed by her. Lisa came into the room and sat down. I've been studying alien psychology for 10 years, and I've never encountered anything like her willingness to sacrifice herself for strangers. Maybe that's what we all should be learning from, Jake said. The next morning arrived gray and quiet. The council chamber was the largest room Jake had ever seen, with seating for representatives from dozens of worlds. The humans were given seats in a special section reserved for applicant species. Jake looked around the chamber and felt overwhelmed by the diversity of life forms present. Some looked almost human, while others were so alien that Jake couldn't figure out how they communicated. The hegemony representative, Thex Kull, was seated prominently near the center of the chamber. He seemed to be watching the humans with particular interest. The council recognizes the application of the species known as humans from the planet Earth, announced the council speaker, a tall being with blue skin and multiple eyes. Jake stood up to address the council, but before he could speak, another voice rang out across the chamber. I invoke the right of truth-speaking under Velnari law. Every head in the chamber turned to see Zira standing at the back of the room. Her crystal skin was blazing with golden light, brighter than Jake had ever seen it. The chamber erupted in confused voices. Many of the representatives seemed shocked to see her there. The exile has no right to speak here. Thexcool's voice boomed over the noise. The right of truth-speaking supersedes exile status in matters of galactic security, Zira replied, walking steadily toward the center of the chamber. The council speaker raised a hand for silence. The Velnari law is recognized. State your claim. Zira stopped in the center of the chamber where everyone could see her. I claim that the hegemony has systematically destroyed emerging civilizations to maintain their power. I claim that they plan to do the same to the humans. And I claim that this represents a threat to the security of the entire galaxy. The chamber exploded in angry voices. Representatives were shouting in dozens of languages. Thexcool was on his feet, his insect-like features twisted with rage. Prove your claims, the council speaker demanded. Zira looked directly at Jake and smiled. Her skin was now so bright it was almost painful to look at. I will show you truth beyond words, she said, and then she opened her mind to everyone in the chamber. The effect was immediate and devastating. Every telepath in the room suddenly went rigid, as Zira's consciousness flooded into theirs. Jake watched as dozens of aliens experienced what he had experienced, the sensation of touching a completely open, truthful human mind. But more than that, they experienced Zira's memories of scanning Thek's cool. They felt his fear, his hatred, his detailed plans for destroying humanity. They saw the ghosts of civilizations he had already murdered. The non-telepathic representatives watched in amazement as their telepathic colleagues began to weep, cry out, or simply stare in wonder. And through it all, Zira stood in the center of the chamber, her light growing brighter and brighter as she poured everything she had in. Zira did not die immediately. For 3 days she lay in the station's medical bay while the best doctors from dozens of worlds worked to save her life. Her crystal skin remained clear as glass, showing no color at all. The doctor said this meant she was between life and death. Jake never left her side. He sat in a chair next to her bed, holding her cold hand and talking to her even though she couldn't respond. The other humans took turns bringing him food and trying to convince him to rest, but Jake refused to leave. "You can't save her by staying here," Dr. Lisa Park said on the second day. "I'm not trying to save her," Jake replied. "I'm just making sure she's not alone." On the third day, something remarkable happened. A ship arrived at the station carrying the Velnari High Council, the leaders of Zira's people. They had traveled faster than anyone thought possible to reach the station. The High Council was made up of 5 ancient Velnari, whose crystal skin showed colors Jake had never seen before. When they entered the medical bay, their skin began to glow with soft golden light. "We felt what she did across the galaxy," one of them explained to Jake. "No Velnari has ever achieved such a level of telepathic evolution. She has become something beyond what our species thought possible." "Can you save her?" Jake asked. "We do not know, but we will try." The High Council members surrounded Zira's bed and placed their hands on her. Their combined glow filled the room with warm golden light. Jake had to close his eyes because it was so bright. For hours the Velnari worked. Jake could hear them speaking in their own language, but he could also feel something happening in his mind. It was like Zira's telepathy, but gentler and warmer. Finally the light faded. Zira's skin began to show the faintest hint of color, a pale blue that Jake recognized as the color of sleep. "She will live," one of the High Council members announced, "but she has changed. What she did has transformed her into something new." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "She can no longer be exiled from our people. She has become what we all aspire to be, a being of pure truth and compassion. We came to ask her to return home and lead our species into a new age." Jake felt happy for Zira, but also sad. If she went back to her people, he would probably never see her again. That evening, Zira finally woke up. Her skin was still very pale, but Jake could see colors moving slowly beneath the surface. "Jake?" Her voice whispered in his mind. "I'm here," he said, squeezing her hand gently. "Did my people really come?" "Yes, they want you to come home and be their leader." Zira was quiet for a long time. Then she turned her head to look at him with her silver eyes. "I have been thinking while I slept," she said. "I saw things. Visions of what could be." "What kind of visions?" "The future. Your future. Humanity's future." Her skin began to show more color, soft golds and blues. "Jake, your species is going to change everything." "What do you mean?" Zira struggled to sit up, and Jake helped her. She was very weak, but her eyes were bright and alert. "I need to show you," she said, "but I am too weak to project the visions into your mind. You will need to touch my thoughts directly." "How do I do that?" "Place your hand on my forehead and open your mind completely. Do not resist anything you feel or see." Jake hesitated. "Will it hurt you?" "No. This will be much gentler than what I did in the council chamber." Jake placed his palm against Zira's crystal forehead. Immediately, images began flowing into his mind. He saw Earth, but not as it was now. He saw a planet surrounded by thousands of ships from hundreds of different worlds. He saw humans and aliens working together, building things that Jake couldn't even understand. But the vision went deeper than that. Jake saw human diplomats who couldn't lie sitting down with warring alien species and helping them find peace. He saw human scientists whose open minds could understand alien technologies that had puzzled other species for centuries. He saw human teachers working with alien children, showing them that it was okay to ask questions, okay to be curious, okay to care about others even when it was difficult. But most powerfully, He saw thousands of individual moments of kindness, humans throughout the galaxy stopping to help beings who were alone, sharing their food with strangers, offering comfort to those who were afraid. We always wondered why humans developed without mental barriers, Zira's voice said in his mind as the visions continued. Now I understand. Your species evolved to be teachers and healers for the galaxy. You were meant to show other beings how to be open, how to be kind, how to care for each other without fear. The vision shifted to show Jake something else, the galaxy as it was now, with species isolated from each other by fear and suspicion, and then the galaxy as it could be, with all beings working together in harmony. But this is just one possible future, Zira continued. It will only happen if humans remember what makes them special. If they remember that strength comes from kindness, not from power. Jake saw one final vision, himself years older, standing on a balcony overlooking a great city where humans and aliens lived and worked together. And beside him stood a woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Amy Peterson, Zira's voice said with what sounded like amusement. You should definitely ask her out when you get home. The visions faded, and Jake found himself back in the medical bay with Zira. She was smiling, and her skin was showing the warm golden color he had come to associate with happiness. That was incredible, Jake said. But will it really happen? That depends on your species. And on you. Zira's skin flickered with different colors. Jake, I need to tell you something before my people take me home. What? Zira reached out and took his hand in both of hers. Her touch was warmer now, more alive. In all my years of reading minds, I had never encountered a being who was genuinely good, not just trying to be good, not pretending to be good, but actually truly good in their heart. Until I met you. Jake felt embarrassed. Zira, I'm not that special. Any human would have done what I did. That, she said, her skin glowing brighter, is exactly what makes your species so remarkable. You think kindness is normal? You think caring about strangers is what everyone should do? You cannot imagine being any other way. She leaned closer to him, her voice in his mind becoming softer and more intimate. Jake Miller, I want you to remember something. When you go back to Earth, when you tell them about what happened here, make sure they understand this. The universe has been waiting for humanity for millions of years. All the wars, all the suffering, all the loneliness between the stars. It was all leading to this moment when your species would finally reach out and teach the galaxy how to love. Jake felt tears in his eyes. What if we're not good enough? What if we let everyone down? You won't, Zira said with absolute certainty. Because you are exactly what the galaxy needs. You are beings who will sit with outcasts and share your food. You are beings who will risk everything to save strangers. You are beings who will choose hope over fear every single time. She squeezed his hand one more. Time to promise me something, she whispered in his mind. Anything. Promise me that humans will never lose their ability to see the lonely ones and offer them kindness. Promise me they will always remember that the smallest act of compassion can change everything. I promise, Jake said. Zira's skin blazed with pure golden light one last time, then settled into a peaceful rainbow of soft colors. Good, she said. Now go home and ask Amy Peterson to marry you. Jake laughed despite his tears. How do you know she'll say yes? Because, Zira said with a smile that seemed to light up the entire room. She has been waiting for someone brave enough to believe in love. Just like the rest of the galaxy has been waiting for humanity. 2 weeks later, Jake stood on the bridge of the UES horizon as it approached. Earth, behind them came a fleet of ships from dozens of worlds, the first alien diplomatic mission to humanity's home planet. Galactic Council had not only accepted Earth's application for membership, they had invited humanity to help reorganize the Council itself. The hegemony's power structure had collapsed once their crimes were exposed, and new alliances were forming across the galaxy. Jake thought about Zira, who had returned to her homeworld to lead her people into a new age of openness and compassion. She had left him with a small crystal that sometimes glowed with golden light, a way for her to let him know she was thinking of him. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Jake activated the ship's communication system. This is Captain Jake Miller of the UES Horizon, requesting permission to bring our new friends home. The response came immediately from Earth's orbital control. Permission granted, Captain. Welcome home. And Jake, there's someone here who's been waiting to talk to you. Jake smiled, knowing exactly who that someone was. The universe, he realized, was about to become a much less lonely place. And somewhere in the depths of space, on a world of crystal beings learning to love without fear, Zira felt the warm glow of happiness in her heart and whispered a prayer of gratitude for the day a kind human had sat down beside an outcast and shared his sandwich. It had indeed changed everything.